So here we are in our War World battle circuit again. Our losers bracket. We've just snuck by Darklighters Yoakum, and now we see MoPower's McCready up on deck. So formats R2 ALPD. So R can be quite friendly to McCready. You know, he's got yellow and yellow and green happens to be quite decent in frontiers. There's lots of aggressive cards there. So we're going first. Again, seem to be having a fair bit of that throughout this tournament. And the row is not horrendous. There's not a huge amount of damage there, but there's also not a lot of authority gain, and there's a couple bases. So what we do here is we look to very little going on. We were looking with our gambit. We were hoping to be able to grab a farm ship, ideally to top. But what ends up happening is we draw both of our 2 trade cards, and so in this situation we're absolutely going to go straight in to the trade envoy, no hesitation, take that straight away. You know, in cases like this, there's often the argument to take the cheaper card, take the farm ship, on the understanding that McCready is going to be discarding a card and losing, you know, maybe losing either damage or trade, and then try and coax him into taking his gambit out and fishing for the trade envoy. But if he does that and he gets it, you're really bad, because we don't want trade envoy for the trade. We're good with trade. What we want trade envoy for is we want it for the ability to put a bomb into our hand into play immediately. So we're just gonna pass. We've got a mediocre hand next turn. That's fine. So McCready's going to pop his gambit. He's going to take Probot, and he's then going to take his Imperial Defender. I think there's an argument for farm ship here, and I don't know if he popped his gambit for the 4th trade there, but either way, I mean, Probot's a good card, but I think Farm Ship lets you cycle through, avoiding your starters, and has 4 damage stapled onto it as well, so it gives you a shot at a bomb. I'm not sure that wouldn't have been my play, but in McCready's shoes, but Probot and Imperial Defender allows you to see more cards as well, so that's just fine, and there is a yellow base on the row. We, on the other hand, are going to take our authority. We're going to grab the base. Mobile market, super good. And hit. In comes MoPower. Is going to get that yellow base. We could have taken that to try and avoid his docking, but I feel like mobile market's okay where we're at. We can see Azure 4 on the row. MoPower unable to grab that, so we, as we've said before, absolutely want that. It goes straight to the top. Such an important card against McCready for anyone in blue, because it's such a pain for him to deal with. Like, it's giving us 5 authority when we land it, and he's got to deal with it, and in fact we get to ally it all the way there. So McCready going to come in, scrap, grab the farm ship, and pass the turn. We're going to play out our 2 blues. We're then going to top a converter. It's got a big butt, which we like, and there's a lot of, well, there's 3 red on the row, but there was enough red on the row to justify that, so we're going to draw into it. We're not going to be able to do anything with it right now, but we can buy a scrapper, buy a card that we don't want MoPower to have, and that's okay for us, and just deal damage. And what we're going to do is we're going to hope that the converter can stay out, but the secondary reason for slapping a converter down is even if converter doesn't stay alive, it might allow Azure 4 to stay alive. cycling through his card's going to pick up a really tasty mid-gate here. It's not great news for us. It's gonna provide MoPower with a really great source of discard and draw. With the saturation of yellow he's got going on, he's also going to be able to dock with his Imperial Defender on it. It's just all kinds of bad. So he does scrap out his farm ship to get rid of the converter, but he leaves Azir 4 out, and with our trade envoy we are super happy. We were doing it anyway because we did have the trade, but it's always nice to have even more. We're going to pop that, we're going to grab the flagship straight into hand, we're going to play it after we've topped a Needle Lancer, so that we can get some copying going. It also gives us the ability to scrap a bit more if we choose with our scrapper. We're going to copy the discard, so that we've put his hand under a bit of pressure here, because we can see what's in it. It's a big hit, and that gives us more chance of allowing Azir 4 to survive, or forcing him to choose between killing Azir 4 and developing his deck again. So he gets his base, he's missed out on his docking, he does have enough damage, and picks up a Stinger here, which is great, but he also flips over Demolisher. Super good news for us. Love Demolisher, hate having it against you. I mean, that's a card you just can't allow McCready to have, because he'll absolutely wreck you with it. And as for Lee, all sorts of bad. We didn't have enough damage to get rid of his base, so he is going to dock here. He's going to draw lots of cards, and he's going to force us to discard. Thankfully, he's not flush with discard, so he's only going to hit us for 1 card out of our hand. But and the row's not got any more for him, but we do need to be careful about that. Puts in a big hit, docks, and we can deal with this. We can. Flagship came to the top. We've also just pulled a converter, which is great news. We can grab some damage. We can scrap, and then scrap again. Gets us 6 damage there. Gets us another discard. We can buy a docker for our troubles and sins with the converter in play, and then just get rid of his bases. So 43-36. We've got some bombs on board, and more importantly, we've got a scrap engine going. And some walls to sit behind while we're doing it. So we're feeling all right now. Sees his defender, gets scrapping with his probot. Doesn't have a huge amount of trade, but picks up the hatchling to try and punch through our bases in the future, revealing a Hive Queen, which we are super in the market for. We can even eschewing our trade from our shuttle. We can top it and draw it, trying to get closer to that 5-card hand next turn. And there we can see that we've got Demolisher and Azir 4 right at the bottom, but that's okay. MoPower's at 17. He's got, again, big hand of yellow coming in, picks up a Scrapper, which is ostensibly really at this stage just damage, because the game is kind of, we're in the end game now. We're going to pick up the Needle Lancer, and unfortunate to bottom them, but super fortunate to get an ally out of that, and we can scrap out the Demolisher into a fresh deck, and lo and behold, we see a flagship, we see a converter, we can scrap out and get some damage with those, and we can copy that ability, but we don't need to because it's over. Again, throughout this series so far, I think we've been pretty fortunate getting, because you can go through some games and not see any bombs, and that makes it a lot more difficult. Nandi needs to see the bombs, needs to see those good cards. But I was really pleased with the work that Converter did this game. I thought Converter worked really hard for us. It soaked a lot, it scrapped a lot, it gave us a lot of damage. And one of the things I'm really enjoying about Nandi in this particular format is having the flexibility to top things. Gives you the ability to get a cheeky scrap with a Build-A-Bot and one and done it. But it also, those ally abilities like Converters, like Converter on its own is quite a sad card, But when you've got the ability to pluck a red from nowhere and just slap it on top, and all of a sudden you've got a scrap from your discard and a scrap from your hand and 4 or 6 damage that you didn't have before, it starts to become quite useful. So it was a good game. I felt like we negotiated that well, but always dangerous on McCready. If he gets you down quickly, it's all over. But we do march on. Good game, MoPower. On to the next one.